Welcome into another edition of the Players Perspective Uncensored podcast. Got my co-host, Alhaji Mohammed. Got a special guest with us today, big-time Georgia native, big-time player out of the Peach State, Dion Glover. I know a lot of Louisville Cardinal fans remember him because he torched us the 2 games they played his 1 year at
Hello?
Georgia Tech. Glove, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. My
Okay.
apologies.
Welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, man, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for the invite, man. Y'all two are 2 of my favorite people on earth, man.
Already, man. But before we get into the basketball aspect, man, on this podcast, we talk about bourbon a little bit too. You know, bourbon is a big thing in Kentucky. Have you ever tried bourbon?
Let me see. Yeah, I done had some love. What you call Hennessy? That's the same thing? I'm just messing with you, man. Not really. I'm not really a bourbon guy. I'm more of a white.
Gotcha.
Ciroc and more white liquor.
Nice. Okay. Well, we'll skip to the basketball aspect of it then, man. Man, you had all the credentials. You was a parade All-American coming out of high school. You were Super 5, 6'5", 2 guard, man. You were one of the best players in the country. What made you choose Georgia Tech over your pick of schools? And in particular in Georgia, now that I reside here for a little bit, I know it's a big thing to go to Georgia, University of Georgia too. So what made you choose Georgia Tech over Georgia and, any other schools that you may have wanted to choose?
Well, back then, that was to me, Georgia Tech was like what Kentucky is in basketball now. You had Steph, you had Kenny, D. Scott, all those guys come through there, Mark Price, and a array of other players that was coming through. And Steph had the hype of the one and done. So all eyes was on Georgia Tech. And, just my relationship with Bobby Crimmins and Coach Wittenberg. And growing up here, I was always a fan of Lethal Weapon 3. Those guys in the run they had in the NCAA tournament. And when I met Steph, it was just the icing on the cake. So I always wanted to go to Georgia Tech. And I love Georgia, love UGA. Actually, I was great friends with Saul Smith, who was Tubby Smith's son, who played on my AAU team growing up. Yeah, but the difference then was I always looked at UGA as a football school, and I always looked at Tech as a basketball school. So it was an easy choice of going to Georgia Tech.
But if you didn't go to Tech, where do you think you would have went to?
Probably NC State, because I took a visit there. I had met that team. They had some great guys. That was my first visit. And actually, Herb Sendek was a great coach, great guy. So probably NC State.
Nice. Crimmins slide you that bad?
Nah, man.
Come on, Glove, man. You can tell us, man.
No. Hey, man. He didn't do anything outside of what the rules were. We had to get just grant money and stuff like that we had to apply for.
I mean, he leased you a Benz or a BMW. I know what that
means. That's his guy, man.
Oh, man.
Glove, what kind of coach was Bobby Crimmins? What kind of coach was
he? What I enjoyed about Bobby Crimmins, he'll let you find your own way. He wasn't a do it, you have to do it my way. He'll let you play, let you react, which is what basketball is about. Nowadays I think coaches try to do too much of the thinking for the players. You got to be in this position. That Coach Crimmins just put you, in positions, but let you operate with spacing and stuff offensively, and he challenged you defensively. So I, really, really enjoy playing for Bobby, man. He lets you be yourself. You come and do your job. You don't have any situation, any problem. So I definitely respect it. He's a man of his word. If he say he was going to do something, he was going to do it. So I respected that about him.
Man, you had a heck of a 1 year at Georgia Tech. You averaged 19 points a game. You were all ACC. And so after your freshman year, you declare for your draft. 1999, you get drafted first round, 20th pick to the Atlanta Hawks. Tell me about your feeling of getting drafted to the hometown team, because sometimes that can be a gift and a curse, being from Atlanta, getting drafted by the home team. And, now it's a lot of extra distractions that could come into play, but at the same time, you get to represent your hometown too. So talk about that feeling and kind of balancing both of those at the same time.
Well, I always thought it was an honor, a blessing by God, because I didn't have to move. Actually, got my first check, just stayed with my parents till I could, keep stacking checks, and then bought a house. So it was actually a gift to me, playing in front of fans and being around people that I grew up with, and everybody know you in the city. So I didn't run into any problems. If I seen people out, I sat down and talked to them because I probably know them. So I never had an issue with that, man. Only, tickets was the only issue. I wouldn't say issue, but everybody wanted to come and see the games, which was cool. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time here in Atlanta, man. And if you can get drafted to play from the city where you're from, Josh Smith was another one that had that opportunity. Now Lou is back in Atlanta, playing. So to me, it's easier it was easier for me. And I know those guys say the same thing. You knew where to go, where not to go, what restaurants and all that stuff. So you don't have to find anything, new places to stay, trying to learn different routes to practice, to work, anything like that. So it was an honor for me to get drafted by the Hawks.
Nice.
Yo. Glove, give me a moment from your rookie year when you realized, like, yo, I'm in the league. Like, I made it.
I guess it wasn't even anything basketball related. So I get my first check, and my dad say, man, I've been working over 30-some years, and you've got more money in one check than I made in my lifetime. And that's when it dawned on me that I was, blessed through God's ability to play this game of basketball and get highly compensated for it. And to see these checks these guys are making today, oh, man, it's beautiful. I'm happy for each and every one of them, man. And just thank the guys that paved the way, and thank David Stern and Adam Silver for building a global brand in which guys, great grandkids may not ever have to work if they do continue to do the right thing with their money. So, man, that was the moment when I realized, like, man, I'm making some money and I'm in the NBA.
Yeah. And, this is kind of off topic of what we were going to talk about, but since you brought that up about contracts, obviously, guys are, really, 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 starting to get the bag in the league now. Some getting more than probably what they deserve, but they got to do something with the money. Do you think that's put a lot of pressure on a lot of young kids to really focus in on putting a lot of pressure on themselves to, try to go professional now? You see a lot of little pop-up leagues trying to go professional instead of really just enjoying their youth at the same time. Do you think that's put a lot of pressure on like AAU and different things like that?
Man, to be honest, it's the parents who putting the pressure on those kids. Mm-hmm. Kids want to be kids, but every parent that I come across from coaching AAU and being heavily involved in it, not every, but the majority of them, they are trying to rank their sons in 6th and 7th grade. Like, what is that going to do? Like, instead of just letting your kid develop and enjoy the process, man, it's just, I guess with social media the way that is now, I think they had a big thing on basketball and sports period and life period. You can post everything. My kid's working, he's ranked this. I asked a parent, told me my kid's number 3 ranked 6th grade in the nation. And I say, what that's going to do? He's going to go to the 7th grade next year, just like all the other kids who are not ranked. So what that doesn't mean you're not going to get a check from the 6th to the 7th grade. That doesn't mean anything. And you guys know because, like, I wasn't highly ranked until I became a junior and senior, but you always catch those guys who are ranked high. I mean, y'all are products of that. Y'all wasn't ranked high, but went ahead and had great careers. And I put you 2 guys up with anybody that's ranked high. And I figured, I know y'all will come out on top. So rankings are not always the end-all, be-all, but these parents, man, they're so fixated on getting their kid ranked instead of just enjoying the process, man.
True. Now back to you and being in the league and playing in the league. Who was the first person to really kind of like bust your ass or like kind of give you buckets and kind of welcome you to the league?
Oh, man. Allen Houston, man.
Ooh.
Man, we playing in New York, and coach put me in a game, and he was moving without the ball, and knowing I'm standing there watching, I'm a rookie. He passing the ball to the post, baseline cutting. Like those are things I really didn't really understand, but he was just hitting that little jumper baseline probably every time. He moved without the basketball. And after the game, it was Dikembe Mutombo who told me, and Bimbo Coles who told me how to guard it finally. But they allowed me to get baptized for about 12 minutes, man. He was just killing me, man. I couldn't figure it out. None of that. But those veteran guys are so I don't know how they are now, but they were so pleasurable to be around and gave you great knowledge. Even at some point during that game, Allen told me how to guard it. So I guess he felt sorry for me, but at the same time, he gave me some very helpful advice, man, on how to guard it. But he was a heck of a player, though, man.
Yeah, Allen's good dude too, man. Good dude. Now, was Mookie Blaylock still with the Hawks when you were there?
Nah, Mookie wasn't there. That was the year I came. Mookie and Steve, we had brought in J.R. Ryder, Jimmy Jackson. Mookie, I forgot what Mookie. I think Mookie ended up in Golden State, and Steve had ended back up. We had traded him to Portland for J.R. Ryder and Jim Jackson.
Got you. But, man, you had a wonderful career, man. You played 8 years. Obviously, some injuries that, cut your career short, but you still were blessed nonetheless, man, to reach and play basketball at the highest level. And so once you finished playing, man, you wanted to transition into coaching and training. And I know a lot of guys that put their all into basketball for so many years. It's like once they finish, they don't really want to be around it anymore. They just want to take a break from it. What made you want to continue and get into coaching and want to get into training?
Well, I actually lucked up to get into coaching. It was more the training aspect of it. I actually lucked up doing that too. I was just fooling around with kids, and one of my best friends, Wallace Prather, who's an agent now, he was like, Derek Favors was coming out of college, and Corey McCray, I think, had got a job at that time. He normally would train the guys for Wallace. And so Wallace asked me, say, man, can you be on time? I was like, yeah. He said, well, be here at 8 in the morning. Derek could be here every morning getting ready for the draft. So I just took what I learned and how coaches trained me and implemented it into training Derek. And then from there, Derek went number 3 in the draft. I don't care. My mama would have trained him. The kid was so talented, he would have went top 3 anyway. but he made me look good by, having the opportunity to train such a talented player. And my business just picked up from there. And so I started training and being locked in, studying, really watching the NBA game, the way it had evolved and what to work on guys, because things I worked on wouldn't translate to today's game, because today's game is more like guards really don't post up. When I played, we posted up. It was mid-range. Now it's more shooting the basketball. You got to be able to shoot the basketball. So in my training session, that's what I do, a lot of focusing on shooting the basketball, because if you can shoot the basketball, you're going to always have a job in my mind.
Man,
so,
quick my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Quick backstory on Derek Favors, man. So I'm playing in Israel. I'm playing in Haifa. And so we're playing a preseason game. We coming and playing the Nets. Derek Favors was with New Jersey at the time. So we playing in the preseason, dog. And, like, TV doesn't do justice to how big Derek Favors is.
How big, yeah. Yes.
Hey, man, listen, Derek Favors hit me on the screen. Whole body fell. Whole body fell, like, So, yeah, it's different. And, like, big fella run the floor like a deer, though. Big fella moving and running, man.
Man.
I'm like, man, I'm like, and from a guard aspect, like our guards, like the European guards and NBA guards, we were cool, but like our bigs couldn't match up with the Derek Favors, and they had one of the Lopez brothers. Like we couldn't match up, on the inside. But guard-wise, I think they had Jordan Farmar. I was giving Jordan Farmar buckets. But like bigs, we couldn't do nothing with the bigs, man. And, they ended up killing us and, wearing us down. But that was a quick backstory on Derek Favors, though.
Right.
Yeah, Derek, a big guy. Go ahead, move.
Right. With all this stuff going on social media, and you being a trainer, you see all these different trainers doing all these weird drills, weird things. Now, what's the difference between being a trainer and training like a pro?
I'm trying to do it without disrespecting anybody.
It ain't no disrespect. I mean, you
I
played in the league, so you know what it
Glove,
takes.
we
Be
uncensored.
the
That's why
real.
we started with your accolades,
Yeah.
brother. You speak how you feel on here.
Yeah.
I see
Be
a lot.
real.
I see a lot. It's some good trainers and it's some trainers that I think do too much.
Right.
When your guy, like we from the era, and I know you guys are too. If it takes you 3 dribbles to get a shot off, like you need to get off the basketball. So I see kids on Instagram working on 5 step back moves and all of that stuff. Like it's very seldom you're gonna use that stuff in the game. Like maybe to get a shot off at the end of the game, or you'll do that, but it's very seldom. So I think trainers focus on the wrong things because it's sexier to have a kid that can shoot 12 step back in between the leg stuff instead of just a one hard rip dribble pull up. So I try to focus on just the fundamentals of basketball because you know the Kobe's, the Mikes, and all that. Just fundamentals is what they perfected. You perfect that, you're going to be able to get your shot off anytime you want to get your shot off. So there's a lot of, like, I call gimmick training, guys with tennis balls. I sit there and laugh like, man, you're not playing tennis. This is basketball. Like, what are they dribbling a tennis ball for? They're not going to ever dribble a tennis ball in the game. So some of that stuff, when I see it, I laugh and put my head down and just, go from there. But, pros, the thing about pros, and you guys know because you guys are pros, you just focus on the little things, like and the fundamentals of the game. Where you're going to get your shot from. Like these trainers working on all this, and they're not understanding you got to have certain kill spots on the floor. Like if I get the ball right here, or if I get to this spot and raise, I don't think there's nothing you can do about it. So I try to instill that in kids, knowing where you can attack from on the floor. And every kid and every player is going to be different.
Right.
And today's game, everybody got to be able to shoot, pass, dribble because they have brought the international way of playing, which is beautiful now, into the game of basketball. Bigs got to be able to – you just can't stick a big under the basket no more. They're dinosaurs now. They got to be able to shoot the basketball. Bigs initiating the offense now. So everybody I train going to train the same way. Ball handling, shooting, passing, understanding different situations. Pick and roll is a big thing. How you defend it and how you run it offensively. So I focus on that with kids because if you can run and understand a pick and roll, you're going to be all right. If you can defend and play in it, you're going to be okay. So I try to just focus a lot. And I never train a kid for where they are now. I always train for where they tell me they want to go. So if I get a kid today that says they want to play in the NBA, okay, we got to be able to shoot the ball at a high level because pros don't miss in drill. I don't sweat when I'm rebounding for Joe Johnson. He's not going to miss. I don't sweat when I'm rebounding for Anthony Morrow. They're not going to miss shots. So if you're a pro and you shooting by yourself, you got to be able to knock shots down at a very high clip. And I think trainers don't focus on that. Right. They focus on the, man, I took a guy hard one way and snatched him back, and the kid don't even know why he's doing it. Like, there's no why did you have to use that move? I bet you they can't tell you because the trainer just look and say, okay, I seen Kyrie do this, but they don't understand Kyrie did it for a reason. So I think these trainers just don't explain the why we're using this.
I'm so glad you said that, man, because like you said, you got a heck of a catalog. And I've watched you train Joe Johnson. I've watched you train Iman Shumpert. I've watched you train Jared Jack, Josh Smith. And, I follow you on social media, and I'm always seeing you posting highlights. And one thing you just highlighted on when you were just talking is pros don't miss shots in workout. There's no defense. So you have to knock down shots. And which runs into my next question. I watched you train your son, and your son's a heck of a ball player. Just finished his freshman year at Hebron Christian School. And I watch you when you guys start out in your highlight, you put him at the elbow and tell him that he has to make 20 straight. So tell me the main thing you do when you train your son, and what are the main things that you're telling him about the game now as you're training him to become a better basketball player?
To be consistent shooting the basketball with his follow through and everything. So I always put him in different spots. Man, you got to make 20 in a row right here before we leave. Just to get him locked in on shooting because I was blessed to be 6'5". he may not be 6'5". So, but he can do something that I can't do, which is shoot the basketball. And I look at Steph, I look at Dame. Now they shoot it at an exceptional high level, like unbelievable. But if he's able to shoot off of pick and rolls, shoot when he's wide open, move out the basketball, catch off down screens, and shoot, he'll always be able to do whatever he want to do in the game of basketball. Even if he does not make it to play at a professional level, he can be one of those shooting coach guys that come in and still make a living. So that's always in my mind. How can I just keep him around the game if he chooses to be around the game? So he can go in and implement because he shoots the ball well. Like my man Lethal Shooter shoots the ball well, makes a great living working with pros, fixing their jump shots and stuff like that. Chip Ingram, another guy in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. He can always make a living teaching people how to shoot the basketball. And that's what I focus on because I feel like if I could shoot the basketball, all those knick-knack injuries I had from trying to get past people, I think I would have had a longer career. So in my mind, man, if you got a pull-up jumper, take the pull-up. You ain't got to go down there and wrestle with them. And that's what's going to equate to longevity and always have him a way out if he doesn't make it in basketball. There's no pressure if he doesn't make it, but I just give him options in life.
Mind you, we talking about a 14-year-old, probably going to turn 15, making 20 shots in a row. You find a lot of guys that talk about they want to play pro in the collegiate game. They can't even do that. So, these are aspirations. And I'm glad you touched on it because I want people and I want these guys to understand what it really takes to be a pro because everybody wants to be a pro now, even if it's just playing overseas. Everybody wants to try to be a pro, but they don't understand what it takes in the time and the effort and, the craft that you have to put in to being a pro. So I'm so glad that you touched on that, man.
And just from the standpoint of where the game is now, when I grew up, I think it was easier to make it to the NBA because you just compete against guys mostly in the United States.
Right.
Now you got kids in China, kids in Russia. Y'all see it. Y'all had long careers over. What the kids over there working all day, every day. So now it's a global game. Out of the top 30 picks, probably 18 gonna be foreigners. So what's gonna separate you from the guys that you're competing against over here? And what I've seen, the ability to shoot the basketball is what's the difference maker between taking the guy from overseas or giving yourself an opportunity to be better than the guy over here.
And another thing when you just brought up that point, a lot of teams like San Antonio draft a foreigner and keep him over there.
Yep.
And then bring him back later. So that hurts a guy over here that's trying to get one of those spots.
Yep, trying to get one of those spots. And that's what I always tell kids, man. It's a global game, man. It's hard. It's tough to make it in the league these days, man. It's so many kids, kids are so talented, man. It's tough. Like, Moo, like your size, my size, 2 guard, that was attractive back then. Now you got
Paul George, 6'9", 2 guards.
6'9", 2 guards, man. So you have to be exceptional, man. And people don't understand that you have to be exceptional.
Right. I'm gonna ask you, how was your experience playing in the Big Three? What did you like and what could be better? What you think could be better?
What I enjoyed about it just being back in basketball and really for me, it was just an opportunity for me to walk off the court on my own terms because I left the NBA because of injury. So I felt like I had one more chance just to play some little basketball. I could call it professional with a lot of NBA friends. And then I can say bye on my terms to the game that I love so much. So I used it as that. But it's a great league, man. I think Q, they do a fabulous job of bringing in talent. Every year, the league gets better and better, more competitive. And honestly, Mo, I wouldn't change anything. I think the way it is now is pretty good. It's half-court basketball. I wouldn't change anything. I guess I would try to get it, like, if you could. I know it's a lot that probably got to go into it, but, like, this league over here these guys over here competing against guys around the world 3-on-3. You understand what I'm saying? So it might be a 3-on-3, like a couple of teams in Germany or something that you know, you have to work the kinks out and play for a world 3-on-3 championship. So add to what he's already doing. You know, you have like regions and you play for a world title. And whoever the top team over here plays the top team over there, you know, maybe in Spain or something like that, and see how it goes. But that's the only thing I would add to it, because it's a great thing to do. You get out of the house, you still, some of us with egos still be, you know, still around that and can get that feel back, you know, people patting you on the back, good job. And, you know, I really like it. I think Q and them doing a great job. It should be even better this year.
That's dope.
Nice. Glove, appreciate your time, man. It was a pleasure for you to come through and bless us with your presence, man. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. And thank you for everything, brother.
Man, enjoyed it, man. I
Appreciate
appreciate you guys, man.
Appreciate it, Brody.
My guy.